Everybody remembers the worst WWE ideas. I'm talking Katie Vick, Kerwin White, the gobbledygooker, the decision to have Heidenreich in LOD. Jesus. There are far too many to mention, but let's cut the overworked creative team a bit of slack for a second. Sure, those aforementioned ideas were horrendous, but at least they stick in fans' brains. Being memorable is something, I suppose. The same absolutely cannot be said for the men and women who grace this list right here. I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture, and these are 10 WWE one-offs so bad you forgot they existed. Number 10, Super Porky. Behold, babyface Otis before that even existed. In 2005, short-lived character Palmer Cannon told SmackDown GM Teddy Long that WWE needed some ideas player. So Palmer introduced the Juniors division and claimed little people wrestling would do big ratings. It didn't, obviously, because people aren't goddamn idiots and viewed this as just another temporary distraction the company would get bored with quickly. But you may recall some of the Juniors who did their episodes on SmackDown and or Velocity. But you probably don't remember Super Porky. He only appeared once and he was shown eating ham during a backstage skit with Long on the 21st of October 2005 edition of the Blue Brand. It was as thrilling as it sounds, but was pro wrestling's latest attempt to mock overweight men and women for having an eating disorder. Now the actual ham eating was harmless, but Super Flippin' Porky? Wrestling has always been a literal business stacked full of one-dimensional characters, and yet this somehow still managed to take the piss with that concept. Number 9, Brackus. According to Bruce Pritchard's pod, Shane McMahon was impressed by the bulging muscles of German bodybuilder Akeem Albrecht. Naturally, because of course he was, so was Vince McMahon, and the WWF signed Albrecht up in 1996 and immediately recast him as Brackus. It didn't work out. Despite being signed since 1996, he didn't make his first in-ring appearance on Raw until 1998, and by then, fans tuning in for some WWF attitude wanted more from characters than just, he's got lots of muscles and he looks great on an 8x10. Brackus regrettably had zero wrestling skills or personality to speak of. He would only make one proper in-ring appearance on Raw in July of 1998, winning in 51 seconds. I mean, he was also in the Brawl for All, but literally no one remembers that and him throwing hands with Savio Vega. Probably for the best. Number 8, KIZARNY'S big break. Imagine, if you will, that the WWE introduced a wrestler named Powder today, and his only purpose was instantly running for the hills and exiting the ring at the first sign of danger. Sounds crap, doesn't it? Well, spare a thought for poor Kizarny then, because he was very much along the same lines by being an internal joke, and an unfunny one at that. You see, Kizarny was based on the traditional language workers used to lay out matches and talk to one another about business in earshot of the fans. Basically, it's Carney talk, and helped mask what wrestlers were saying so nobody would figure out that those punches at MSG on Saturday night weren't exactly real. MVP was the victim of WWE's latest plaything, and he lost to Kizarny on the 2nd of January 2009 edition of SmackDown. And then the Carney gimmick was literally never seen again. This was his one and only singles match on TV, and it apparently didn't go over well backstage either. Management thought it was totally rubbish and scrapped his push. Sorry, Montel. Number 7, Roddy Piper. Impersonations are one pro wrestling trope that will never die. DX mocking the Nation has been rightly deleted from history for obvious reasons, but at least it happened. So did the NWO poking fun at the Four Horsemen over in WCW, DX playing Vincent Shane, Rated RKO playing DX, and so on and so on and so on. In 1994, perhaps the worst example of this obsession reared its ugly head. Jerry Lawler was feuding with Roddy Piper heading into King of the Ring, so he brought out a kid who could sort of do Roddy's voice to crack some lame jokes. It was woeful, and that's coming from me, and it hoovered up airtime in front of a bored live crowd. This impersonation gig didn't last long. The company pivoted and had the kid side with Piper on the pay-per-view, but nobody could have cared less. It couldn't save the match, wasn't over, and didn't even lead to anything on the back end anyway. Good stuff, everyone! Number 6, Big O joins the New Day. Kevin Owens is usually brilliant brilliant regardless of what he's doing, and it's clear he's never been one to shy away from mocking crap booking either. KO pointing out plot holes or stupid wrestling tropes should be treasured, but his brief honorary member status as part of the New Day should not. On SmackDown on the 16th of April 2019, KO hosted an episode of his in-ring chat show with New Day members Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. They lamented Big E's injuries, and then Owens offered to join the group as Big O and watch their backs against Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura later that evening. And Big O was born. Big O dear, more like. It was a heel ruse that everybody bar the New Day saw coming, and it was painful to see Owens dancing around like 2022 Shanky with a unicorn horn strapped to his sodding head. Regardless of the talent involved, this was WWE-style comedy at its most pitiful, and thankfully has been largely forgotten. Number 5. Steve Blackman, promo machine. Don't get me wrong, I love Steve Blackman, and I'm still a little bit terrified of him, but this was probably used as an example of what not to do during promos for years. During the lead-up to his Lion's Den scrap with Ken Shamrock at SummerSlam 1999, legit hardnut Steve Blackman shouted at Terry Taylor like he was wrestling him on pay-per-view. Blackman's delivery was super wooden, and his parting line was a doozy. So this way, this thing's gotta end one way or another! The problem? Blackman didn't even look at the camera once, and he addressed his anger at the interviewer rather than at Shamrock. It was all very weird, and yeah, he yelled at the end. It was so strange, all this. And nothing like this was ever seen again. Management restricted Steve's speaking parts, and any promos he did deliver were said to the camera. Number 4. The Duchess of Queensbury. Now, let it be known, this is definitely not an attempt to besmirch the otherwise brilliant feud between William Regal and Chris Jericho from 2001. The pair had endless chemistry with one another, and Jericho taking a whiz in Commissioner Regal's tea is essential content and an example of comedy done well. Also, I interviewed Regal a while back, and he still thinks Jericho is a
proper trout slapper.
Anyway, then, at Backlash 2001, the WWF tried to present a new bespoke match type for old Willie. He challenged Y2J to a Duchess of Queensbury rules match. What was it? Well, it was Regal changing the rules to suit himself whilst the bout was in progress. But then again, nobody thought that the Duchess herself would actually fly into Chicago for the show. She did, and boy did it raise some eyebrows. The part was reportedly played by one of the company's makeup artists, and this Duchess of Queensbury sat around ringside reacting to the match and then worked some hammy spots with Regal. It was such a miss that neither she nor the match type were ever spotted on TV again. Number 3. Phantasio is magic. Gorilla Monsoon and Jim Ross really tried to make something of Phantasio's only televised WWF match on a July 1995 episode of Wrestling Challenge. The commentary duo marveled at the illusionist's magic tricks like they were special and pretended fans were seeing someone who'd blown up the product. Phantasio didn't exactly do that, but he did almost burn some folks alive by accidentally setting fire to the sodding backstage area right behind the curtain. He was doomed after that, but the match against Tony DeVito sucked anyway. Now, as Spellbinder, he did work a few more house show bouts here or there before eventually waving goodbye to his Federation dreams. The whole TV experiment was so unbelievably bad that the WWF is just lucky it happened on Challenge and not flagship show Raw. Number 2. WWE AFTERSHOCK. Right, time to change course for a second. WWE AFTERSHOCK was the only wrestling game released for the flopped Nokia N-Gage phone portable gaming device thing. Look at it, it's so bloody weird. Anyway, AFTERSHOCK landed in the summer of 2005 when I dressed like this. And it's been totally forgotten even when some discuss the worst video games ever. The graphics were atrocious, the gameplay was bad, and the title barely had any decent modes. It's a wonder the thing was released at all. What's wrong with good old-fashioned Snake, eh, lads? Number 1. Pocket Rocket. There will be lots of fans out there who don't recall the Heartthrobs tag team that lit up WWE's doubles scene in 2005. Antonio and Romeo were a real throwback to the mid to late 80s, but they did have a great look and weren't exactly shabby in-ring either. Still, fans struggled to care. Thus, it was mascot time. That'll put butts in seat A. Juniors Division star, Short Sleeve Sampson, was enlisted to play the part of Hock It Rocket on the 25th of July 2005 episode of Monday Night Raw. This was Rocket's only televised showing before Samson was put out to pasture and never seen again. His, do I have to say this? Sexy dancing failed to electrify fans in Cleveland, and he exited stage left before watching his heartthrob buddies do the same the next year. And that is our list. Did we miss any out? Let us know in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. And you can find me on there at Adam Wilborn. Thanks for watching. I've been Adam from What Culture, and I'll see you soon.